A small piece of clay tablet, broken and incomplete, provides the world with the life story of Sargon the Great. It measures about 3.5 inches long, about 2.5 inches wide, and it's a little over a half an inch thick. Not much bigger than this tablet computer here that I'm using. This tablet, though, tells the autobiographical tale of Sargon the Great, the founder of the Akkadian Empire in the ancient Near East, who ruled from about 2334 to 2279 BCE. Now, in 1829, a young man named Austin Layard, seen here in this little official portrait, he quit his job in a London law office and he went looking for adventure in the ancient Near East. Well, not the ancient Near East, he went to the Near East. He was looking for biblical cities, things that he had read about in the Bible. And so when he goes along and he's searching through the deserts, and about 10 years later, in the area of present day Iraq, he finds, seen here, he finds a little bitty old find that kind of seems a bit substantial in our understanding of the ancient Near East. He had discovered this. Well, not this. This is an artist rendering of it, of what it looked like. And there's a picture of Sargon, kind of a statue of him, or at least a rendering of what a statue would look like at the time. But he had discovered the lost library of Ashurbanipal. Now, Ashurbanipal was the name of a late king in the ancient Near East in the 7th century. But his vast library contained many cuneiform tablets. This is, again, an artist rendering of what the library would have looked like at that time. See how they were stacked, all these tablets. Now, of course, as you know, these cuneiform tablets are made of clay. And the clay was, when it's soft, the scribes were able to write into their script into it. They recorded their books, their inventories, their ledgers, official records, what have you. But then afterwards, they would be heated if they wanted to be preserved. However, if they wanted to be reused, they just wet them a little bit and they'd soften them up, and there you'd have a reusable ancient whiteout, if you will, kind of for those young enough to remember what whiteout is. Anyway, this library was once said by the world-famous author H.G. Wells in his work, The Outline of History, that this library had contained over 20,000 clay cuneiform tablets. And Wells called it the most precious source of historical material in the world. Now, when the library fell, the folks who were destroying the empires of the Akkadians and the Assyrians, they thought, or the Neo-Assyrians, they thought by destroying the library, they'd wipe out all traces of the Akkadian Empire and their history from the face of the earth. But what they did is they actually preserved it, because it baked those tablets. And those tablets then, unless they're destroyed or damaged, like the Legend of Sargon is, that information is still there. It was located in Kuyunjik, outside the modern city of Mosul. That wall clerk turned archaeologist had in one move increased the world's knowledge of long-dead civilizations. One of those 20,000 tablets that were recovered was not identified as the Legend of Sargon at the time until a gentleman by the name of Henry Rawlinson translated it in 1867. Now, here's Rawlinson. He was a British military officer, fine-looking man in his uniform there. Well, he was a member of the British military, and he had previously discovered some inscriptions on a cliff face, seen here. These inscriptions, written in Old Persian, Babylonian, and Elamite, allowed Rollins to first translate the Persian and then begin deciphering the other symbols. Working for over 16 years, by 1851, he could translate up to 200 cuneiform script symbols. So here you have the tablet a little close-up of it. And here's a Mask of Sargon. Now, a lot of those tablets remain in the British Museum, and here you see their display in the British Museum. As you'll note, some of these are damaged or just partial, and others look like they're mostly complete. But again, these were buried for thousands of years. The tablet belonging to Sargon of Akkad. Now, again, it's spelled, generally you'll see it Akkad, but you'll also see it Gade, because again, the language of the Akkadians wasn't like ours or anything like what we use today. It was, each symbol not only represented possibly a sound, like Ash or God, but it also, some of them denoted actual words. So it's kind of very difficult to for modern day people to kind of get their heads around that. But all of it, as we see an artist rendering of what Sargon the Great would look like with some of his people around him, all of it led these discoveries, the translations, the 16 years Rawlinson and others, and it wasn't just Rawlinson. A deep dive on that will show you that there were many others working on it, just like there were many others besides Layard working to find this lost library. They weren't looking specifically for it, but just happenstance that they discovered it. So for more information about this, you can, of course, go to the British Museum where many of these images actually came from the British Museum website, or you can actually do a little Google search and you'll find a lot of information. The character of Sargon the Great actually seems to appear in some games like Civilization, games that started with PC, and they go on from other digital platforms. But his place in history will not be forgotten, despite what their enemies tried to do when they burned and sacked the city of Ashurbanipal. My name has been Gene Bannister, and I've hosted this segment on this primary source, The Legend of Sargon. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go down below, click that little like button. That lets me know that you watched it, you liked it. I already know you watched it because I see the little watch things, but if you tell me you liked it there on YouTube, then it makes me know that you appreciate the efforts and the production. Have a great day.